Welcome to Story Mode. I've just closed my store after almost 3 years of business, and I got used to working for myself, so how was I going to work for someone else? Welcome to 1994. It's so bizarre how with each year the music changes slightly, and 1994 is no exception. Take a listen to this. As you can tell, dance music dominated 1994, but there was definitely other varieties, like Ace of Base, E17 and The Pretenders.
I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. It's really alright. Alright, everything's gonna be alright. Won't you stay another day?
And now for my top 4 songs of 1994. Number 4, I'll Remember by Madonna.
I'll remember.
I used to listen to this in the car all the time. D-Ream, You're the Best Thing.
You're the best thing I ever had.
There are so many groups I wouldn't know about if it wasn't for owning a 3DO and a copy of Road Rash. With Soundgarden having 4 songs in Road Rash, I was bound to get into them.
Black hole sun, won't you come?
Now, being a Chris Cornell fan, Black Hole Sun should have been my number 1. But how could I not give the number 1 spot to Silverchair, headed by a 15-year-old boy, Daniel Johns.
You gotta wait, you bad boy,
Unbelievable, an Australian band way ahead of their time. And now for the movies. Robert Zemeckis gives us Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks, Tim Allen in The Santa Claus, and The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Now this is embarrassing, it's still a film I have not seen, and that is Street Fighter the movie. I think I avoid it because I'm so into Street Fighter. I did the exact same thing with Masters of the Universe. I was so into the cartoon, I didn't watch the movie.
You're joking.
We think we can deal with General Bison.
Ironically, I love City Hunter from 1993, starring Jackie Chan. The movie's kind of an action comedy and doesn't take itself too seriously. It's good for a laugh, and it's funny seeing Jackie Chan dressed up as Chun-Li. Well, I had 4 top songs, but I'm going to have 5 top movies, and the first one's Clerks.
The second one was still being built when they blew it up.
Compliments of Lando Calrissian.
Something just never sat right with me that second time around.
Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey team up in Dumb and Dumber, one of the funniest movies of all time.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Another great duo, Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins in The Shawshank Redemption.
Not me. I didn't shoot my wife and I didn't shoot her lover.
But my second favourite movie of 94 would have to be True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold. Oh, and we can't forget Bill Paxton.
I mean, let's face it, if they took care of business, I'd be out of business, you know what I mean?
Those idiots.
Well, my favourite movie of 1994 really needs no introduction. It's Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
You're Jimmy, right? This is your house?
Sure is.
I'm Winston Wolfe. I solve problems.
So it's the end of 1993, and now that I can't import Japanese video games, I've closed down the shop. So I had a bit of money in my back pocket and I decided to go and look at some arcade boards at a company called Flash Amusements. They were located in Melbourne in a suburb known as Richmond, and they had everything. They had arcade uprights, sit downs, and a heap of arcade boards. But I have to say, in the early 90s, there were heaps of operators and sellers of arcade machines, Bumper Action Amusements, the great Leisure and Allied Industries, who own Time Zone, Hankin Coinplay, Able Amusements, Golden West, Child Amusements, and so on. There were heaps of them around. But I seem to like Flash Amusements the best because they had the best prices on arcade boards, and that's what I wanted. So I went to Flash Amusements and bought 2 arcade boards, Mercs and Sidearms. I used to deal with the owner of Flash Amusements, Rodney. He was a great guy, built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but very softly spoken. He would look after me all the time and give me great prices. So I told him all the fiasco I had with closing my shop, that Nintendo and kind of Sega wanted to stop me from importing Japanese video games. And the first question he had was, do I know how to solder? And I said, yeah, I know basic soldering. I've done mods on Mega Drive and things like that. And he goes, okay. Do you know the basics of arcades? Power supply, a bit about the monitor. And I said, well, maybe a little bit. He said, guess what? You've got a job, you start tomorrow. Little did I know what I was getting into. So the next day I rock up at Flash Amusements at 8 AM, eager as anything, ready to start the day. He tells me the first thing you're doing is you're going to a brothel. I said, what? He said, yep, you're going to a brothel, you're going to collect money. The coin bucket is almost full and it needs emptying. Now what you have to understand is Rodney wasn't just selling arcade machines, servicing and repairing. He had arcade machines out in the wild in Melbourne, such as the brothel, strip clubs. He'd put them anywhere. He had no morals. And he had so many machines out there, they'd be making roughly $100 a week. So you can imagine 300 machines times $100 each, that's $30,000 a week. Yep, back in those days, arcades made a killing. As time went by, I was fairly trusted by Rodney, and I'd be doing collections, and that's pretty much all I did. Collections for arcade machines. It would take me roughly a week to do full collections, and the following week I'd be in the factory servicing arcade machines. Yep, that's right. Every 2 weeks, there'd be a collection done on around 300 arcade machines, and it took a week to do. It's just insane. A lot of the time you'd have to go to a collection and the owner of the shop or the brothel or the strip club, whatever it may have been, would tell you it needs some servicing. Either the joystick wasn't moving the right way, the coin mechanism wasn't working, or the screen. It'd always be one of those things. The thing I do remember, this was a little bit after the Street Fighter craze, and the next 2 games to take over that craze was Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. Rodney would have had easy 100 NBA Jams out there, and they were making a killing. While I was learning the ropes of servicing arcade and pinball machines, I remember going to a strip club to do a service on a fishtails. One of the girls came up to me and said, I'll give you a free lap dance, or, you know, she wanted to do a performance for me for 10% of the takings. I said, I don't think my fiance would appreciate that, but here's a few credits on fishtails, and I was just straight out of there. So I've been working there for around 3 months at this time, and I was gaining so much experience until I met this one guy who's my good friend to this day, and that is Steve. Steve was a technician at Flash Amusements, and this guy could fix anything. He was unbelievable. I saw him repair arcade PCBs, and the way he would repair something, he'd be just so quick and know exactly where to look. He obviously had so much experience under his belt, and to this day I'm still amazed at how good he is. So now I feel part of the community, the working force. I'm working for the man, I'm not working for myself anymore. And I was driving a 1974 Toyota Celica, and I want something a bit more mature maybe, so I got a Mitsubishi Magna GLX. That's what my grandfather had. It was a normal, sensible car. I was engaged at the time, maybe going to look at a family, who knows what the future holds, so I wanted a sensible, everyday car. So why not? I went out and bought a Mitsubishi Magna, well, probably financed it, I think, back in those times, and I knew life was just looking forward. So after around 5 months' time, it was amazing how much experience I had. Soldering was heaps better. I could make wiring looms from scratch, arcade machines from scratch, timber, artwork, anything. Nothing was a problem. I was becoming an arcade and pinball expert. So one day after a big collection, I come back to Flash Amusements and I see cops. Not 1 or 2, not 3 or 4, but like 7 and 8. They had a warrant to seize all Rodney's machines. This I couldn't believe. They were going to all locations around Melbourne, taking the machines out and taking them to a big impound.
Stop that stereo before I blow your goddamn nuts off, asshole!
Now, no one knows the story of why the police took the machines, but there was a few rumours going around that 1, the machines were not safe, 2, they didn't have a gaming licence, which is a little sticker that goes on the machine, enabling it to be used for gaming commercial purposes, and 3, it's rumoured some of the machines were stolen. That was never proven. Rodney got on the phone to his lawyer, and within 2 days, we were able to pick up the machines from an impound location. So, 5:30 p.m. one day, when we're all about to finish work, Rodney says, I've just hired 7 trucks that we can all drive, like normal driver's license, and we're going to be split up into pairs, because there was 14 people working there, go to the police impound, get as many machines as we can, and work through the night. We looked at each other thinking, is he crazy? And he was. He made us a meal, he made us some freshly squeezed orange juice, and after an hour we felt amazing. So we started around 8 o'clock, we got the hire trucks, went to the police impound and loaded the arcade or pinball machines in the truck. From memory there was about 14 per truck, and there was around 300 machines, so this was going to take a while. We couldn't see it happening all in one night or to early hours of the morning, but it did. By 1 a.m. we almost had half of it taken out. We'd either take it back to the factory or out on location if it was close enough to the police impound. But for some reason, we all felt amazing. And this was like 1 o'clock in the morning after working a full day. Then it was 4 a.m. We got almost all the arcade machines out. There was about 20 or 30 left that got done the next day. And can you believe we still felt amazing? And you know why? Well, let's just say Rodney put a bit of enhancement in the orange juice. Not happy about that, but it's history and it's a good story. So Rodney got his machines back and everything seemed to be normal. The only problem is Rodney wasn't really injecting too much time and putting money back into the business, and there was a rumour he was about to close it soon. My focus was on Steve because I knew his friendship would be valued, and also I'd become a better technician for arcades in the future. So the months went by and Flash Amusements was starting to fall apart at the seams. It was so bad that we didn't get a wage in the last month of working there. And we all knew we had to go. And unfortunately, Rodney closed down the business. Funny thing is, I own that business name now. I am now Flash Amusements. So I was jobless once again. I had a little bit of money in the bank. I was thinking of taking some time off. But I think this time, I'm not going to go for a job in the video game industry.